John Hanson is a man mostly remembered in Maryland history, because many in Maryland consider him the first American president. He was the president of the United States Congress under the Articles of Confederation, elected in 1781. Many historians debate the fact of who the actual first president really was, but this video is not about that. It's about John Hanson. Hanson was born in Charles County, Maryland, near Port Tobacco, on April 14, 1721, to a wealthy Southern Maryland family. He would get into politics in Charles County, becoming an important figure in the county. Later, he would move north to Frederick County, Maryland, and continue his political career. During the Revolution, he would become one of the main patriots from Maryland, supporting the Revolution. In 1779, Hanson was named a delegate to the Second Continental Congress. He served as president of Congress from November 5, 1781 to November 4, 1782. In addition to being president of Congress, Hanson would also be remembered as a patriot and a founding father, and he is actually one of the men featured on the back of the $2 bill. Later in life, while visiting his nephew Thomas Hanson at Oxon Hill Manor in Prince George's County, Maryland, Hanson passed away on November 15, 1783. He was believed to have been buried on that property in a tomb. That property itself has a very interesting history. Here's a sketch of the manor house as it would have looked. There are no known pictures to exist of the mansion itself. The land that sits along the Potomac River was originally owned by John Addison, who was born in England in 1667, and he arrived in St. Mary's City, Maryland, the capital of Maryland at the time, from England in 1687. He acquired the land that would become the Addison plantation, and later the Oxon Hill Manor. He built a small house on the property and passed away in 1705. His son, Thomas Addison, inherited the land and built the two-story mansion you see here in the sketch, called Oxon Hill Manor. The plantation became very profitable, and it did rely on slave labor. Records show a little over 70 slaves worked the land. When Thomas Addison died, his widow married Thomas Hanson, the nephew of John Hanson. The great-grandson of Thomas Addison sold the property in 1810 with the condition that the family could keep control of the family cemetery. Over time, the property became abandoned, with exception of the cemetery, and in the 1890s, the original mansion burned down, and the area was mostly returned to nature. In the 1960s, the new Capitol Beltway went under construction near the property, and in the 1980s, there were plans to build a tourist attraction called the Port America on the land. With the historical value of the property, research was done. With the cemetery still being there, they were able to find the original foundation to the mansion, and they found tombs near the cemetery. It was believed these tombs are where John Hanson was buried. In the mid-1980s, with plans to come back the following year and explore the inside of the tombs, which according to one witness on the site, the tombs were sealed and believed to be the final resting place of John Hanson when they left for the season. The following year, when they came back, the tombs were opened and there were no human remains found inside. With no human remains inside, the developers could clear the land, destroying the tombs, to start the project. The area became a parking lot. And to this day, the mystery of what happened to Hanson's remains, if he was buried there, is still a mystery. The Port America project would never come to be because financial issues. But in the early 2000s, the National Harbor project would be built near the property. And in 2014, the site of the old mansion, the cemetery, and the tombs would become the MGM National Harbor and Casino. As construction started for that, the cemetery remained. Originally, plans were to keep the cemetery where it sat. But in 2017, it became reasonable that it needed to be moved. So the MGM paid, and the county came up with a plan to remove the cemetery from this site, which is what they did. There's only a few headstones located on the cemetery, but during excavation, they found over 40 human remains. The remains removed from the original Addison family cemetery would be moved to a local church a few miles south of the site. As you can see in these pictures, these are some original headstones from the Addison family cemetery before they were removed. Each headstone that was there was removed and placed in the cemetery they were taken to. And for the people who did not have graves, the unknown people who were buried in the Addison family cemetery, they were given graves in the new cemetery that simply place unknown Addison family member. And if you look at this Google Maps image from Street View right here, you can see that exact grave from the picture, straight ahead with the white pieces of plastic on the sides that kind of hold it together, I guess. And this is the final resting place of the Addison family today. I guess it looks better than being surrounded by a casino and an interstate beltway. But here's the site today. The yellow circle is where the Addison family cemetery was. The red line kind of indicates where the mansion once stood, and the blue is where the tombs probably were located, where John Hanson may have been buried. So you can see the whole area is, from this Google Maps image, is different today. You can even see there is an Addison National Memorial right there. That was actually paid for by MGM. It was supposed to be placed there since they had to remove the cemetery. Today, where the original mansion stood, is this Royal Farms gas station. And I think it's kind of ironic how it has a cupola on the top, just like the original mansion once did, hundreds of years ago. So if you look back at the original sketch, there's the cupola. Since John Hanson doesn't have an official burial site now, he has a memorial at the Mount Olivet Cemetery in Frederick, Maryland, because his wife, Jan Hanson, is buried there in a mass grave. So this is where you would bring flowers if you wanted to visit the grave of John Hanson, even though he's not buried there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this is Fixed Image, saying peace.